beneath the ordinary world lies a veil, and behind it, the voices of the lost still whisper.
We are your guides into the shadows, where true crime meets the paranormal.
From chilling crimes to haunted histories, we uncover the stories that refuse to rest.
This is Veil of Echoes. You shouldn't have stopped.
But it's too late now. The engine is off, the road is empty, and the woods around you are silent.
You stare through the windshield. Nothing. No houses. No streetlights. Just darkness. And trees stretching endlessly in every direction.
Then you hear it. Something moving through the woods. Slow, heavy, deliberate.
Someone told you about this place. Fletchertown Road. A lonely stretch of road outside Bowie, Maryland. The kind of place teenagers dare each other to visit after dark. The kind of place locals avoid altogether.
They say strange things happen here. Pets disappear. Unexplained screams echo through the trees. And if you're unlucky, you might see something watching from the darkness.
At first, you tell yourself it's just an animal. A deer, a coyote, anything but what the stories describe.
Then your headlights catch movement. Something standing just beyond the tree line, motionless, watching.
It's too tall to be a deer, too broad to be a man. And when it steps forward, your stomach drops.
One step, another.
Its eyes reflect red in the headlights. Its body is covered in hair. And where its feet should be, you see hooves.
You should have kept driving.
For more than half a century, people throughout Prince George's County, Maryland, have told stories about a creature lurking in the woods near Fletchertown Road. Some say it was once a scientist whose experiments went horribly wrong. Others believe it was a hermit who vanished into the forest long ago. And some insist it was never human at all. Half man, half goat. A legend passed from one generation to the next. A creature blamed for missing animals, strange encounters, and terrifying nights on lonely roads.
This is episode 71, The Goatman.
Welcome back to Veil of Echoes, a cinematic true crime and paranormal podcast where we explore the mysteries, tragedies, and unexplained events that continue to echo through time.
From infamous crimes and unsolved disappearances,
to haunted locations, paranormal encounters, and the stories that refuse to be forgotten.
We're your host, I'm Lindsay.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Bria. And before we begin, this episode contains discussions of alleged cryptid encounters, animal deaths, urban legends, and frightening witness reports. While much of tonight's story falls into the realm of folklore and legend, some listeners may find the subject matter unsettling. Listener discretion is advised. But before we head into the woods of Maryland tonight, we want to take a moment to thank every single one of you for continuing to support Veil of Echoes.
Whether you've just been with us since episode 1, or you're just discovering the show for the very first time, thank you for spending part of your day with us.
Every download, every rating, every review, every message. It genuinely means more than you know.
And as always, if you've been enjoying the show, please consider leaving us a rating and written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Not only does it help our show grow, but it helps more people discover Vale of Echoes. And we also wanted to take a moment to celebrate something pretty incredible.
As of this week, Vale of Echoes is now being listened to in 79 countries around the world.
Honestly, that's still hard for us to wrap our heads around.
Yes, because, again, there's 194 countries, and we're almost like at 80 pretty much, so. And that was just in a matter of a few months. I think, in April we were at 40 countries, so
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
The sprocket was crazy.
Yes, it's awesome. So tonight we'd like to give a special shout out to some of our listeners around the globe.
To our listeners in Australia, thank you for listening.
To our listeners throughout the United Kingdom, thank you for being here.
And to those joining us from Germany, Iceland, Canada, New Zealand, and everywhere in between, thank you so much for spending part of your day with us.
Whether you're listening during your morning commute, working a night shift, driving down a lonely road, or relaxing at home, thank you.
No matter where you are in the world, we're honored that you've chosen to spend your time with us.
And from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for helping Vale of Echoes in our universe continue to grow. For generations, people have gathered around campfires and shared stories about monsters lurking in the darkness, creatures hiding just beyond the edge of firelight, watching, waiting.
Most of those stories stay exactly where they belong, in folklore, in legends, in imagination.
But every once in a while, a story spreads so far and survives for so long that people begin to wonder if there's something more behind it.
Deep within Prince George's County, Maryland, there's a road where locals claim something has been lurking for decades. A creature blamed for missing animals, strange encounters, and terrifying nights in the woods.
A creature some described as half man, half goat.
And according to local legend, it's still out there.
And tonight, we investigate one of America's most infamous cryptid legends, the Goatman. Every state seems to have its monster, a creature whispered about around campfires, a story passed from one generation to the next, the kind of legend people laugh about during the day, but think about a little differently after the sun goes down.
Some places have Bigfoot, others have Mothman, the Jersey Devil, the Chupacabra, but in Maryland, there's one creature that has terrified locals for generations, the Goatman.
Located less than an hour outside of Baltimore, sits the city of Bowie, Maryland. Today, Bowie is a thriving suburban community. Tree-lined neighborhoods, schools, parks, busy streets. The kind of place you'd never expect to become home to one of America's most infamous cryptid legends.
But hidden among those neighborhoods, beyond the shopping centers and subdivisions, lie stretches of dense woodland, and according to local legend, something has been lurking there for decades.
The heart of the legend centers around an isolated road known as Fletchertown Road, a road that became synonymous with fear throughout Prince George's County, especially after dark.
For years, teenagers would dare each other to drive down the road at night. Some would park along the shoulder and wait. Others would venture into the woods hoping to catch a glimpse of the creature for themselves. Most left disappointed, but not everyone.
Descriptions of the Goatman vary depending on who you ask. Some witnesses describe a creature with the head of a goat and the body of a man. Others claim it looks more like a massive hairy humanoid with curved horns protruding from its skull.
Many accounts describe glowing red eyes, patches of white fur, cloven hooves, and an eerie scream that sounds almost human.
Some witnesses claim the creature stood more than 6 feet tall. Others insisted it could run on all fours with terrifying speed. And perhaps, strangest of all, some stories describe the Goatman carrying a large, double-bladed axe.
The fuck?
Interesting.
Yeah, strangest. That's the
Where-
scariest part of all.
Where,
What the fuck?
Where the fuck is it hiding this axe at?
Yeah, he's just like
So, our listeners that are in
Maryland.
Bowie, Maryland, or anywhere in Maryland who has seen this thing, if you've seen it, yeah, what did you see? I'm curious what vision you saw of it. Version.
We need the Goatman pictures.
Yes. Or I know this is what's that guy's name who the artist that we bought some artwork.
Loft.
The Cryptid guy?
Yeah.
It's Loft 817 or something like that.
And I forgot, wasn't he in a northern state? Because they have
Maryland.
their own. Was he from Maryland?
He was.
Him, I don't know.
No, he was from. I think like
Louisiana.
Louisiana or something, because remember he was telling us the story of the beasts of Blattenbarrow or whatever, and that he's from that
Yes.
town.
Yes, okay, that's right. And then that's when he decided to do his artwork based on the other. He's called Loft 187, and he does cryptid artwork. He's an independent art studio run by artist Chris, specializing in a haunted collection of myths, monsters, and cryptid bestiary artwork. So yeah, he'll do like Bigfoot and Sasquatch, the Michigan Dog Man, the Wendigo, the Grafton Monster, and Hodag.
I have the 6 that I have is Black Phillip, Demonic Possession, Skinwalker,
Yes.
Werewolf, the Beasts of Blattenbarrow, the Wendigo.
Yeah, because we have I think do we have the Scarecrow, the Werewolf, the the Salem witch trials? I think he does.
Yeah, they're upstairs.
He's
in a
highly
closet
regarded
somewhere.
for his unique dark aesthetic that portrays North American folklore and woodland cryptids as vintage science journal or grimoire pages. But yeah, if you ever catch him, he goes around those like the conventions
Yep.
a lot.
Horror
Like horror
conventions and
conventions, cons and stuff. And if you
My-
come across him, you should get some of his artwork. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, my favorite that he's done is the Wendigo.
I'm sure he has the Goatman then.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he
Probably.
does.
There's no way not.
But yeah, sorry, that just reminded me like
It
of
has to.
people in artwork with cryptids. You need to
Yes.
check him out. It's Loft 817. Anyways. But despite the differences in appearance, most versions of the legend share one thing in common: fear. Because according to local folklore, the Goatman wasn't simply a creature people saw. It was a creature people believed could kill.
Over the years, the Goatman would be blamed for missing pets, dead animals, strange sounds in the woods, and encounters that left witnesses shaken. Some claimed it stalked parked cars, others believed it targeted teenagers who ventured too deep into its territory.
Like most urban legends, the stories grew with every retelling. Each witness added new details. Each generation added new twists. And before long, the Goatman became something much larger than local ghost story.
But unlike many legends that date back hundreds of years, the rise of the Goatman can actually be traced through newspaper articles, witness reports, and local folklore research. Most researchers point to the late 1950s and early 1970s as the period when the legend truly exploded. I feel it's always around this time when these legends started.
Back during the times when people started finding out what good weed was.
Yeah.
They're dropping acid and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the 70s, people.
True.
Saw some fucking dude with fur pants and like, I saw the Goatman.
Oh, that was just Lenny.
Lenny.
Yeah.
In 1971, a University of Maryland student named George Lizama began researching local folklore and urban legends. During that research, he documented stories about a mysterious creature known as the Goatman that was reportedly seen near Bowie, Maryland.
At first, the stories remained mostly local, the kind of tales shared among friends and neighbors. But that wouldn't last for long.
Later that same year, a journalist named Karen Hosler discovered Lizama's folklore project and published an article discussing the Goatman. Suddenly, stories that had once been whispered around campfires were appearing in newspapers.
And once the public became aware of the legend, reports began spreading rapidly. Sightings increased, rumors multiplied, and fear started taking hold throughout the community.
But what truly transformed the Goatman from a local curiosity into a terrifying legend wasn't a sighting, it wasn't a newspaper article, and it wasn't a campfire story.
It was the death of a dog, a beloved family pet named Ginger, a case so disturbing that decades later, people are still talking about it. Aww. So, the story of Ginger the dog is the defining event that popularized the urban legend of Maryland Goatman. In November of 1971, a family puppy named Ginger went missing in Bowie, Maryland, and was later found decapitated along Fletchertown Road. That's depressing.
Justice for Ginger.
Right. Aww.
Where the fuck's this Goatman at?
Right.
I want to decapitate his fucking ass.
Good. Cut him down.
Coming for you, Goatman.
Yeah, poor Ginger. Justice for Ginger.
Never been to Maryland.
I don't play around with my animals.
Gosh dang it, Ginger. And for many residents of Bowie, that was the moment the Goatman stopped being folklore and became something far more frightening. Urban legends are strange things. Most remain exactly what they are: stories, rumors, campfire tales passed between friends. But every now and then, something happens that gives those stories a life of their own. And for the legend of the Goatman, that moment arrived in 1971.
It started with a dog named Ginger, a beloved family pet owned by the Edwards family in Bowie, Maryland. For the Edwards family, Ginger wasn't just a dog. She was family.
One evening in November of 1971, 16-year-old April Edwards and several friends were spending time outside near their home. At one point during the night, they began hearing strange sounds coming from the woods. Sounds that immediately made them uneasy.
At first, they tried to ignore it. The area was heavily wooded. Animals weren't unusual, but according to later accounts, the sounds didn't feel normal. And before long, they realized Ginger was gone.
The family began searching for her. Friends joined in, neighbors looked around the property, but there were no signs of Ginger anywhere.
Then came the discovery, a discovery that would become one of the most famous chapters in Goatman lore.
3 local boys eventually found Ginger near Fletchertown Road, dead, decapitated.
Yeah, this Goatman better watch it. He better count his days. News of the discovery spread quickly throughout Bowie. People were horrified, and almost immediately questions began circulating. What could have done this?
Some blamed wild animals. Others suggested human involvement. But many residents arrived at a very different conclusion. They blamed the Goatman.
At the time, stories about the Goatman were already circulating throughout Prince George's County. The creature had been discussed in folklore collections. Local newspapers had begun mentioning it, and sightings were becoming increasingly common. So when Ginger's death became public, many residents connected the two.
Suddenly, the Goatman wasn't just something teenagers joked about. People genuinely began wondering if there was something dangerous hiding in the woods.
Only weeks later, newspaper articles began covering both Ginger's death and the growing fear surrounding the Goatman. One Washington Post headline would famously read, "Resident fear Goatman lives. Dog found decapitated."
As fear spread, reports of sightings exploded. People claimed to see strange figures standing near the road. Others described hearing screams echoing through the trees, and some insisted they had come face to face with the creature itself.
Years later, April Edwards would still stand by what she experienced. Reflecting on the events decades afterwards, she said, "What I saw was real, and I know I'm not crazy." She remained convinced that whatever was out there had killed her dog.
This area here is a sighting of a child's dog that was found. This is back in the 1970s, and what happened was they found a head, but they found no body. It became a really big news story. It was printed in several newspapers, so pretty much everyone assumed or actually believes that the Goatman was responsible for the beheading of the dog.
Of course, skeptics offered alternative explanations. Some suggested Ginger may have been struck by a train or attacked by another animal. Others argued that fear and rumor had transformed a tragic event into something much larger.
Ginger was found on the road, though, so how could a train... And I feel like a train wouldn't just cleanly decapitate your head like that.
No, there'd be some other parts missing.
Yeah. Oh, poor Ginger.
Unless she was holding herself right there.
It. Poor Ginger.
Yeah. Justice for Ginger.
Oh, says Ginger resembled a German Shepherd dog. She was a mixed breed dog. She did not belong to one specific pedigree, but her physical appearance strongly favored a German Shepherd build. Poor dog. And honestly, that's one of the things that makes this story so fascinating. Because regardless of what actually happened to Ginger, the damage was already done. The legend had escaped. The Goatman was no longer just a local rumor. It had become a monster, and now everyone wanted to know the same thing. Where did it come from?
Because depending on who you asked, the Goatman wasn't born in the woods at all. Some believed it began inside a government research facility, with a scientist whose experiments went horribly wrong.
Once fear takes hold, people start looking for answers. They want to know where the monster came from, how it was created, and perhaps, most importantly, whether it can be stopped.
As stories about the Goatman spread through Maryland, so did theories about its origins, and over the years, those theories became just as famous as the creature itself.
Some were relatively believable. Others sounded like something straight out of a horror movie. But one story would rise above all the others. A story involving science, government research, and an experiment that supposedly went horribly wrong.
According to one of the most popular versions of the legend, the Goatman was once a scientist, a man named Dr. Stephen Fletcher.
The story claims Fletcher worked at the nearby Veldsville Agricultural Research Center, a real research facility located not far from Bowie.
According to the legend, Dr. Fletcher became obsessed with genetic experimentation. He supposedly attempted to combine human DNA with animal DNA, specifically goats.
At first, the experiments were said to be successful, but eventually something went wrong. Terribly wrong.
In one version of the story, the experiment created a horrifying human-goat hybrid, a creature that escaped a laboratory and disappeared into the surrounding woods.
In another version, Dr. Fletcher himself became the Goatman, mutated by his own experiments, transformed into the very monster he had been trying to create.
It's the kind of story that feels tailor-made for an urban legend. Science, government secrecy, a creature hiding in the woods. everything needed to spark the imagination. So like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The story became so widespread that officials eventually had to deny it. The research facility publicly stated there was absolutely no connection between the Buttsville Agricultural Research Center and any so-called Goatman.
Of course.
Well, of course they're going to deny it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But, as we've seen throughout history, sometimes denying a rumor only makes it grow stronger.
Not everyone believed the scientist theory. Some locals offered a much simpler explanation.
According to this version, the Goatman was actually a hermit, a man who lived alone in the woods surrounding Bowie.
Witnesses described him as strange, reclusive, often seen wandering roads late at night, and according to some reports, he carried a large double-bladed axe.
It's a wrong turn.
I was just getting ready to say a wrong
Or,
turn.
It's over at night, almost close.
Or,
Close
gosh
to
dang it, why
Virginia.
can't I think of the movie?
Hills
Have
have
eyes.
eyes.
Well, that too.
Hatchet.
Yes, Hatchet.
Yeah.
Hatchet, yeah. Because he...
Victor Crowley.
Victor Crowley. Yep, I'm thinking of that right now. I mean, it could be. This just
Hatchet himself.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, the double-bladed axe, like shit.
Sound familiar? Because that's one of the details that appears again and again in Goatman sightings. The axe.
Some researchers believe frightened witnesses may have encountered the hermit in the dark, and allowed their imaginations to do the rest.
A shadow becomes a monster. A beard becomes fur. A man becomes the Goatman.
Then there's perhaps the most tragic origin story of all.
According to another version of the legend, the Goatman began as an elderly goat herder, a man who lived quietly among his animals, until one day, a group of teenagers killed several of his beloved goats. Man, this dude, aww.
I know! I hope that one is not real. That is depressing. Like,
Yeah, because what the why?
Aw.
Why kill
Like-
the goats? What's wrong? What did the
They're
goats
not.
do?
They're not really good for meat. They're only good for like milk to make cheese. So
Poor
like,
goats.
it's better to keep them alive.
I love goats
all
too.
around.
I want to get a pet goat for the farm.
I want a pygmy goat.
The loss supposedly drove him into madness. Consumed by grief and rage, he vowed revenge.
Well, so would I.
So he became like the morph books. He just morphed into a goat.
Wouldn't that be wicked? He
Yeah.
got so mad he just turned into a fucking
Aw,
raging goat.
He was okay.
He said,
Poor old
"Nah."
guy, just ignoring his, society, just wanting to be to himself, and these asshole teenagers, of course, come and kill his freaking goat.
What happened isn't funny, but what I'm imagining's funny. Him getting
Yep.
so mad he turns into a goat, says, "I'm mad."
Like the fucking Hulk.
And then he just has a double-bladed axe.
Poor goats. I would get revenge too.
So you're some
assholes.
bad teenagers. I got all of them. Now we gotta make
Oh
a
my
Goatman movie.
Oh my god. Yeah. From that point forward, the story says he began attacking anyone unfortunate enough to travel through the area. And over time, the line between man and monster disappeared.
The grieving goat herder became the goat man. Or at least, that's how the story goes.
The interesting thing is, none of these stories can actually be verified. There's no evidence of a mutated scientist, no proof of a murderous goat herder, and no confirmation that a mysterious hermit was responsible for the sightings.
I'm sorry. No proof of a murderous goat herder.
Well, the poor thing lost his goats. His beloved goats.
I mean,
they probably had names.
Yeah, he became so raged that he fucking turned into a full-blown hawk goat
I would too,
with a double-bladed
though.
axe.
I would too.
He looked like Hellboy coming at him, so they're like, "Oh fuck!"
God. Yet somehow, all three versions survived, passed from generation to generation, growing larger with every retelling.
And maybe that's because people aren't really searching for the truth. They're searching for an explanation. Any explanation. Something that makes sense of the strange reports coming from the woods.
Because regardless of where the Goatman supposedly came from, the sightings continue, year after year, decade after decade, and some of those encounters would become the stuff of local legend.
Stories of glowing red eyes, cars being chased down dark roads, and terrified witnesses who claim they came face to face with something that should not exist. And whether those encounters were real, misidentifications, or simply products of fear, they helped transform the Goatman into one of America's most enduring cryptid legends.
Because the deeper we dug into this story, the stranger the sightings became.
Oh yes. By the mid-1970s, the Goatman had become more than a local rumor, more than a newspaper headline. It had become part of Maryland folklore, and like all good legends, people wanted to see it for themselves.
Teenagers began making late-night trips to Fletchertown Road. Some came looking for proof, others came hoping for a scare, and a few claimed they found exactly what they were looking for.
Locals even had a name for it. Goatman hunting. Why?
Poor Goatman. See, then I start feeling bad for Goatman in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, because if he's a hermit, he don't want you guys bothering him.
Well, that or if it was
Or
this
his
poor
fucking
guy
goats.
with the goats. I don't know.
Locals even had a name for it. Goatman hunting. Groups of friends would pile into cars, drive out into the woods after dark, and wait, sometimes for hours, watching the tree line, listening to the sounds of the forest, hoping they might catch a glimpse of the creature.
Most never saw anything, but that didn't stop the stories. If anything, the stories only became more terrifying.
One of the most common details appears again and again: the eyes. Witnesses often describe seeing two bright red points glowing from the darkness, not moving, not blinking, just watching.
Sometimes the eyes appeared deep within the woods. Other times, they were reported standing near the roadside itself. And according to some witnesses, the eyes seemed unnaturally high off the ground, as though whatever they belonged to was standing upright.
Imagine driving down a dark road at midnight, no streetlights, no other cars, then suddenly seeing two red eyes staring back at you from the tree line. Whether it's a cryptid, an animal, or simply your imagination, that's sure enough to make anyone uneasy.
But according to local legend, the Goatman didn't always stay hidden. Some stories claim the creature approached vehicles, particularly cars parked alongside isolated stretches of road.
I'd be doing some door checks.
Hell yeah.
They have a Goatman on He-Man, and I'm pretty sure he has a double-sided axe. That's funny.
Well, that makes sense then.
Several versions of the legend describe witnesses hearing something circling their vehicle. Footsteps, heavy breathing, scratching sounds against metal.
Then, when they worked up the courage to look outside, there was nothing there. Or at least, nothing they could clearly identify.
Other stories became even more dramatic. Witnesses claimed something chased their vehicles, running alongside them through the darkness, keeping pace far longer than any normal animal should have been able to.
The scratching sounds remind me of the Hookman.
Yeah.
Now, whether those stories are true is impossible to know, but they become part of a growing mythology surrounding the Goatman. And with every retelling, the creature seems to become more dangerous.
We've heard a lot of strange sounds out here. Some of them sound like a scream, and other sounds sound like a very low grunting.
According to University of Maryland folklorist Barry Pearson, stories about the Goatman continued spreading because people kept telling them, especially teenagers.
And honestly, That makes sense. There's something about sitting around a campfire or driving down a lonely road that makes stories like this feel real.
Because once fear enters the picture, every shadow becomes suspicious. Every noise becomes a warning, and every movement in the woods suddenly feels important.
A deer becomes a monster, a fallen branch becomes a footprint, and a pair of glowing eyes becomes something far more sinister.
Of course, skeptics have offered simpler explanations. Many believe the sightings were nothing more than wildlife encounter. Deer, coyotes, stray dogs, or even people playing pranks.
Well, yeah, because
Tweakers in
was
the
it the
trees.
Mothman? Because he had the red glowing eyes also, and people thought it was just an owl or something.
Some type of owl, but it's not native to that area.
Yeah,
So that didn't help that case too much.
right.
Others argue that once the legend gained popularity, people began seeing what they expected to see, not necessarily what was actually there.
And that's one of the fascinating things about urban legends. The more people believe them, the more sightings seem to occur.
Yet, despite decades of investigations, no one has ever captured definitive proof of the Goatman. No photographs, no physical evidence, no remains. Nothing that conclusively proves the creature exists.
And yet, the stories continue.
Maybe that's because the Goatman was never really about proof. Maybe it was about fear, about mystery, and about the thrill of believing that something impossible might be hiding just beyond the edge of the woods.
But if that's true, why has the legend survived for more than half a century? Why are people still talking about it today?
Because somehow the Goatman escaped the forests of Maryland and became something much bigger than a local monster story. A creature that found its way into television, movies, comic books, and pop culture itself. Most urban legends eventually fade away. The stories stop being told, the witnesses grow older, and the next generation finds something new to fear. But somehow, the Goatman survived.
Decade after decade, the legend continued spreading far beyond the woods of Bowie, Maryland. What began as local folklore became one of the most recognizable cryptid stories in America.
And honestly, that's pretty remarkable. Because unlike Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, the Goatman never had a famous photograph. There was never a piece of evidence that convinced the world. Just stories. And yet, somehow, the legend endured.
By the 1990s, the Goatman had become a fixture of Maryland folklore. Television producers took notice, and documentary crews took notice. And before long, the creature was appearing on programs dedicated to unexplained phenomena.
In 1997, the Goatman was featured on the BBC program Animal X. The episode included discussions about the Maryland sightings and interviews with people familiar with the legend.
For many viewers, it was their first introduction to the creature. Suddenly, the Goatman wasn't just a Maryland story anymore. People around the world were hearing about it.
The Goatman also found its way into books, comics, movies, and television.
In 1998, the creature appeared in an edition of the X-Files comic series. A fitting choice considering how often the franchise explored strange creatures and unexplained mysteries.
Over the years, references to the Goatman have appeared in numerous television shows, including supernatural dramas and cryptid-themed documentaries, each retelling introducing the legend to a new generation.
And with every appearance, the story evolved, because that's what folklore does. It changes, it adapts, and it survives.
Which brings us to an interesting question. Why has the Goatman endured for so long?
After all, there's no definite proof, no verified evidence, no captured creature, and no scientific explanation.
Yet more than 50 years later, people are still talking about it. still visiting Fletchertown Road, still sharing stories online, and still wondering.
Maybe it's because legends like the Goatman tap into something universal, a fear most of us have felt at one point or another.
The fear of the unknown, the feeling that something might be watching from the darkness, the unsettling thought that there are places in this world we don't fully understand.
And honestly, that's what makes stories like this so powerful. Whether the Goatman exists or not, the fear it inspired was very real. The stories were real, the witnesses were real, the legend became real, even if the creature itself never was. But maybe that's not the point, because folklore isn't always about proving something exists. Sometimes it's about understanding why people believed it did.
And for generations, people in Maryland believed something was lurking in those woods, watching from the tree line, waiting for the next curious traveler to stop along Fletchertown Road.
Maybe it was a monster. Maybe it was a hermit. Maybe it was nothing more than fear and imagination working together.
Or maybe the next time you're driving down a lonely road at night, you'll understand exactly why the legend never died. So do you think every cryptid legend has a rational explanation, or do you believe some of these stories begin with something generally unexplained?
Some unexplainable shit.
Yeah.
Very unexplainable
I think
shit.
some
Well,
things
again-
you just see, like at Walmart, you see something you just can't explain. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have to start somewhere. you
yeah,
know?
I mean, I believe that too. I mean, every story has a point, but maybe that's just how they explain it. Like, they saw something to them that looked like a goat man, and maybe it was just a crazy looking fucking creature that could walk on
Yeah.
both legs like that, or run on all fours. Like,
Yeah.
there's still many creatures to this day scientists are discovering, and people are finding that we never saw because they were extinct by the time we were around. But yeah, legends start somewhere, myths start somewhere, and these people saw what they in fact feared
Yeah.
and believed was the
Mhm.
goat man.
Yeah, the other theories they had with the mad scientist, which they're
that
interesting
one's-
theories.
That's a very interesting theory, that he was doing experiments with
Yeah.
human DNA, that him himself
Yeah.
crossed and became a mad goat man.
I mean, who knows?
He was like a satyr.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an encounter that you couldn't explain? Seen something strange in the woods? Heard something in the darkness? Or experienced something that still sticks with you today?
Let us know on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or wherever you're listening. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Because sometimes the most enduring monsters aren't the ones we prove exist. They're the ones we never quite manage to explain. And that concludes this episode of Vale of Echoes. Tonight we traveled to the backroads of Maryland and explored one of America's most enduring cryptid legends, the Goatman.
A creature described as half man, half goat. A monster blamed for missing animals, strange encounters, and generations of frightening stories.
And maybe that's exactly why the legend continues to survive. Because sometimes the unknown is far more powerful than the truth.
Whether the Goatman was a misunderstood hermit, a product of fear and imagination, or something far stranger, one thing is certain. The people who told these stories believed something was out there, watching from the darkness, waiting just beyond the tree line.
And decades later, people are still asking the same question. What was really lurking in those woods?
And if you've been enjoying Vale of Echoes, please consider leaving us a rating and written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Every review helps more people discover the show and helps our community continue to grow.
And don't forget, if you'd like to enter our monthly giveaway, leave us a written review, take a screenshot, and send it to us through social media, or email us directly at valeofechoespodcast@gmail.com.
Each month we select 2 winners from our community to receive exclusive Vale of Echoes collectibles, including limited collector's tarot cards, candles, crystals, and other mysterious items inspired by the world of Vale of Echoes.
So if you already entered, don't worry, because as long as you've submitted your review screenshot to us, you're going to automatically be entered into future monthly giveaways as well.
And as always, Echoes from the Veil is open for submissions.
If you've experienced something paranormal, a true crime encounter, a near-death experience, a stalking incident, or simply a moment you've never been able to explain, we'd love to hear your story.
Until next time, keep your ears open.
And the veil closed.